We've been on top of the fact that the Marvel X offices seem to be going in a reverse direction back towards the Marvel Now era where everything became super woke. This is in light of a relaunch for the titles that's coming in July because everything right now has been going so poorly. Most of it is on the heels of like Vita Ayala really running a lot of the things over there after Jonathan Hickman left, and it's just destroyed a storyline that would have been good with diversity hires. Well, Tom Brevoort has, of course, gone out and said that they're planning on doubling down. And not only that, but they want to insult you as fans if you don't go along with their political agendas. And this is absolutely crazy today. This was on Tom Brevoort's blog. He wrote it himself. He wrote a whole diatribe, completely unhinged, about, honestly, probably our reporting on what's going on over there. They don't want anybody to know about it. They want it to just sail under the seas and make sure that nobody sees what's going on there. But we're not going to allow that. We are going to report the news of what's coming out of these companies all the time, and they can't stop us. They really would like to, but they just can't. That's why I'm the most trusted name in comics news. I don't go for access from these corporations. Quite the opposite. I've seen a sort of fear that's been coming out of the mainstream comics just about my reporting over the last few months. It's definitely been a sea change as they've seen. I really think they've noticed that like our community here is making a difference in their sales, making a difference in what's going on out there in the culture. It's like vampires exposed to light is what's going on here, and we're going to provide that light. So thank you guys for being there. My name's John Delarose. If you're new to the channel, I'm a #1 best-selling author, an award-winning comic creator, the most trusted name in comics news, and of course, your source for all of this. So please check this out and support what we got going on here. I'm on Subscribestar because, of course, Patreon banned me for hate speech. If you go against the corporate narratives, that's what happens. And so this is a spot where if you want to help me keep the lights on over here, keep Fandom Pulse going, keep our comics going, this is like our fund for getting that done. And so we're trying to produce as much as we can right now. The goal is eventually to do monthly comics without even having to worry about any of the production costs and just have that all come from here. And that's what I want to provide you. But right now, of course, art costs are way more expensive than that. And of course, we do have to pay for hosting of all of our websites. Of course, getting all the news made and everything like that. There's a lot of expenses that go on, and I would love for you to come in, be an early adopter, and help us out here. Really appreciate you. That link's in the description below. I've also got a link to my online bookstore in there. If you've not checked out my awesome comic books, you can do so right now. Thanks so much for being there. Okay, this is our news of the day. Marvel Comics editor Tom Brevoort calls anti-woke fans cretins. Yes, that's you. And this is what they do. They just name call, they bully, they try to make their social networks so that you're blacklisted and not listened to. They do anything rather than listen to the fans. This has been like their tactic for years. It's really started with Dan Slott. Dan Slott got some criticism because he's such an a-hole online about his politics, and we saw kind of how he just reacted by mass blocking everybody, by, of course, trying to get everybody away from, his little safe space there. And they want these corporate properties, the ones that you loved growing up, to be a little safe space for their complete LGBTQ indoctrination at this point. So this is it. He's confirming that it's going to push the agenda again, while, of course, gaslighting fans. So, of course, now on top of their name calling, he's going to go into the gaslight as well. And here's Tom Brevoort for you. So what he said on his blog was this right here. He said, first off, I think the ill-defined accusation of being woke is nonsense. So he's pretending that woke doesn't exist, and of course he calls it ill-defined. I define it right away with replacing characters with females, people of melanated people. Let's use that term, and of course LGBTQ stuff all the way up and down. When you've got those three as like it's like your like little unholy triforce right there. You then have a woke product, and that's what X-Men is promising throughout, of course, the next run here. I tend to turn off and tune out wherever it comes up in almost any context. And this is where he goes and insults people. The people who are using it and brandish it like a sword to attack whatever they don't like tend to be mostly, well, cretins. So if you don't like your X-Men being all turned gay in the comics, like, you are now a cretin, according to Tom Brevoort. They want to just enact their agenda. They want to do their little grooming nonsense all the way up and down the board, and you're not supposed to criticize it. You're just supposed to buy more product and get excited for next product, bigot. That's kind of the way that he talks towards you. It's really disgusting. And that's why, of course, we need an alternative towards this nonsense. And that's why, of course, we're building a different community over here. Now, of course, course, it goes even further than this when he talks about this. So he says woke doesn't exist, but then he goes on and says they're not making good faith arguments. They've come up with an all-purpose term, an infinitely adaptable scarlet letter they can hang on anything they don't like. This is really interesting. This is saying that when you say, hey, this product's woke, because it is, that it stops selling. It actually does something to the fan community where the fans go, I don't want that wokeness. But he's still claiming it doesn't exist. He's still claiming that it's like not something that like matters to him. But I guess it doesn't matter towards his job security because Marvel just pushes this stuff regardless of sales. But my gosh, he's kind of admitting here that the wokeness is killing the sales. It is a scarlet letter around what they've got. And there's nothing wrong with that. They should be shamed for putting that crap into these comics, 100%. That it all laid out, I'll tell you what I previously said on social media, and here it is when a version of this question came up. For X-Men, the message is the concept. They love to talk about the message and the concept of these things. Now, he's going to not define what the message is, because if he did, you would not buy the book immediately. And that's the scarlet letter here, because the message is wokeness. As much as he just said it doesn't exist and everybody's just a cretin who uses that term, it does exist, and we know what it means, and we know exactly what it means in the context of X-Men coming up. Now, what's interesting is this whole blog goes off about how X-Men's always been about minorities who are oppressed. Now, what Tom Brevoort doesn't go into is who's really oppressed in the comic book world these days. Is it black people? Oh no, they get promoted in golf clapped for no matter what. Is it queer people? Well, Max Visaggio is out there, of course, working for James Gunn now, so it can't be that. Is it women? Because they seem to be pushing Heather Antos and Gail Simone on everybody as hard as possible. No, it seems to be white men who are conservative or Christian. There's no representation for any of that. It's been that way since at least 2018. I actually wrote a piece for The Federalist back then, and I went through the Twitter account of every single Marvel writer who was producing a book during a certain month. There were about 80 different writers out there, and every single one of them lambasted Trump, lambasted Republicans, or lambasted Christians. There wasn't one that was even silent on the topic. So I challenge you, Tom Brevoort, because I know you watch this show. Obviously, that's what you're responding to here. That's why you're so viscerally angry, because we're having an impact against what you're doing here. We're having an impact on the sales because fans don't want this, and we're not going to allow you to just trick them by saying, woke doesn't even exist. Buy our X-Men product. No, we're not. We know exactly what's going on there. I challenge you, Tom Brevoort. Why don't you put your diversity money where your mouth is and actually hire a Christian conservative to write some of this stuff? Maybe the X-Men would do well if they had that kind of an influence on it. It could be pretty interesting over there. But I know you'll never do it because the message is the premise, and the message is left-wing crazy identity politics 100% of the time. All right, leave a comment down below with what you think about this, my friends. Hit that like and subscribe button. Sign up on Subscribestar and grab the books, guys. We need to build this alternative right now. And one thing, I found this article on a live stream while I was live streaming yesterday. YouTube doesn't always give the notifications out for our live streams. We usually do them around 12 Pacific during the week. And so look for us around those times. Or join my Discord, and you'll be able to, of course, see when we post the link there, too. Yeah, I don't know why, but YouTube doesn't want people to find our live streams. We put them behind member paywalls after they're done, so just for $1, you can go watch those. We have a lot of fun, and we talk about these topics in depth. Really appreciate everybody who comes to the live streams and all that, and I hope you'll join us. Thanks so much.